Okay.
All right. Yeah, we had to raise them to get them over the heads of people.
Yeah, no, good.
All right, welcome to the City of Bellevue, Idaho Common Council meeting for Monday, June 10th, 2024. Please mute your call if you're online. Friendly reminder, please turn off all cell phones except for emergency personnel. Do a roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
President Giordani?
Yes.
Member Pereira?
Yes.
Member Leahy?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Shea?
Yep.
Member Obanoff? That's down.
See you there.
I know she's
In there.
All right, finding out the regular meeting notice and agenda were posted in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204 within 48 hours prior to the meeting at Bellevue City Hall, Post Office, and the city's website on June 6, 2024.
I move that the notice for the June 10th, 2024 regular meeting was completed in accordance with Idaho Code Section 74-204.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. I call for conflicts outlined in Idaho Code 74-404. Any issues tonight?
No.
All right. This time I'll go ahead and open up public comment for items of concern not on the agenda. None on Zoom, any?
I have a question regarding the forthcoming landscaping at the Arch Community House down in this Chantrell neighborhood.
I will have to get with Arch. I've been talking with them off and on. We had some trees that they had to trim back because they were a hazard. There's a pipe that was coming out of the ground, culvert, that they were supposed to go back in and fix. I have not been back down there to check on it.
Yeah, that fence was never put back up. It's time for them to dress it up.
Grass is a good 2 feet tall for those poor people living there. Not very tall for the family.
Probably not very good for the fire either. All right, I will follow up on that. Any other items? Right. This time I'll go ahead and close public comment for items of concern not on the agenda. Old business consideration of resolution 2379, a resolution of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, to release $71,441 from Strayhorn Phase 2 bond savings LGIP 4037 to Strayhorn Partners LLC. Any questions on this now?
No.
I went back and I looked at the fence. So they didn't do like the previous phase 1. There's 2 lanes, or there's rails on both sides of the walkway there. Due to the size of phase 2 and what they have fenced around to keep the walking path open, they fenced the inside lane, which would be the property owner's back end. And so the roadside is open, but it's the only way that we can keep that open for plowing. I don't know if we had a double rail there, if plowing would even be accessible, and then we not even how we move snow on there. We're going to be able to get the toolcat through there, but if it were closed off, I'm not sure if there would be a way to keep the snow off the ground, because we'd be pushing it either into the road or into people's backyards. Questions, comments?
I mean, I still stand by the fact that I feel like it doesn't meet the public safety concerns that we have with the lighting. While it's, fenced on the property owner's side, I don't necessarily agree that it is creating public safety because it's still exposing our bike path to the road side of it. I'd love to see more fencing protecting, our pedestrians, but if everyone on the council feels like that project is complete and the mayor does too, then it's up to everyone's kind of opinion on that.
Oh, it's winter time and summertime. You build, it's gotta be built for winter time. 2, even though it's used sparingly in the winter time, but you still have to have, snow removal. You know,
I understand, it's not wider than our current sidewalk paths that we have equipment for, so I understand all sides of the argument, I just personally don't.
So if we put rails, say the first 20 feet at the intersection, so it'd be double railed just for that first 20 feet at intersections, would that be?
I think something's better than nothing, but again, I think it's just how we, you know, wanna set precedent of holding developers accountable to meet the standards that we
Yeah.
agree upon, so, if I'm not, man, I totally
Is there
understand and
a
it's okay.
landscaping plan scheduled for along that? Because that could potentially
It's a,
solve
would
that.
you consider that a culvert, what would you consider that, like a culvert or like a little ditch that comes off the side of it?
Mhm.
That's
So I'd say
storm
that's
drainage.
Storm drainage, yeah.
So other than getting a lawnmower with behind a tractor down in there once a year to mow it out, I don't know what else to do. He is gonna do some more landscaping around the booster station, but we've talked about that, and we're trying to go away from planting more trees that are just gonna be needing water and dying. We've already seen that happen in the lower place or the parking area. So we wanna bring in some larger rocks and just put some barriers in there and keep it in the step of what it currently is, the sagebrush step.
And I will just remind myself and the conversation with Kathleen too of if lights are needed, it is hopeful, you know, it sounds like it's still on the table. So if it does become a public safety thing, it sounds like lights are still potentially on the table. So down the line.
I think with lights at this point, I'm not sure if additional fencing would be the way to go, or we just go straight to lights. Yeah, comment, Marshall.
The fencing does nothing for the lighting situation.
I did go out there and have a look, and I personally, from my perspective, I feel like the one fence on the homeowner side is okay. And it almost, trying to envision a double fence there would look like it almost, in my opinion, just really doesn't fit. But
So we can,
Yeah, I went over there too, and I can't picture anything different. Like, I guess the reasoning.
Yeah.
It's done.
so how do we move forward? Are we going to suspend this again for 2 weeks, talk to the developer and see if what he wants to do for lighting or safety?
well,
Or do we table this or
I think we could take a vote.
motion or something?
Okay, I move to adopt resolution 2379, a resolution by the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the treasurer to release 71,441 from the Strayhorn Phase 2 bond savings LGIP 4037 to Strayhorn Partners LLC.
Second.
Roll call, please, Michelle.
Member Ferrero,
Yes.
member Shea,
Yes.
member Leahy,
Yes.
member Mahoney.
Yep.
President Jordan,
No,
member Omenauer, is absent. The motion passes 4-1 opposed.
Right, thank you. So for introductions, we have our planners from Great West. We got Jerry and Courtney here today. Come on. Say hello.
Is there a better place to stand? Stand back here.
That's fine.
All right. Hi, I'm Courtney Long. Hi, it's nice to see faces in person. It's a beautiful community you have here. It's a beautiful drive from my little town in Montana. So we've really just been enjoying working with your community. Your planning and zoning board have been excellent to work with. Yeah, we're really happy to be here and serve you guys, and we just want to extend, if you ever have any questions for us, please feel free to reach out to us.
Mayor, Council, Jerry Gervais, colleague of Courtney's, we actually just met with John Kurtz for 2 hours to talk about stuff. And this is pro bono, we're actually traveling to Boise, and we wanted to stop and say hi, so it's been good to work with everybody, so thank you.
And we appreciate your help while we're working through our staffing issues, but, no, I know John and, the commission over there is really happy to have some more guidance and people that are actually, getting this done the right way, so we appreciate you guys getting on the team.
Thank you.
All right, item 6, consideration of fee waiver for extra garbage cans and 2 porta potties. Bellevue Memorial Park, Sunday, June 23rd, for a community potluck. Celebrating Bellevue's unique and diverse history, that helped shape the Wood River Valley. This was brought to me from they're calling themselves the Bellevue Events Committee. At first I thought they were working with the library, but it is just a community organized event. I do believe that council member Obanoff is affiliated with them for some reason or somehow. This is a community event that they're putting on for themselves, where they're gathering with other community members. I see it much like a family reunion, basically. And so it's community members decide to come together, have a potluck. They paid their fees. They saw what the fees were for 100 people or more, and for extra porta potties and trash. So it's up to you guys, but I have no strong feelings on this. Go ahead and I think they can either deal with what they've already paid for and stay within the constraints, or we can move on.
Stay within the 100
people.
the 100-person cap.
Unless they wanted to come in and make the adjustment to get porta-johns, because that's one thing also, Michelle, we need to update the fees, because Maria said that the reason she didn't charge them the first time is because the fees are wrong. So right now it has 2 porta potties for $50, and it's actually closer to $250. And so we need to get that.
I will get with her. I don't know what these are. I'm just. But I'll get it's working on all kinds of things right now.
More than $50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, that group is not affiliated with the library.
Correct. And that's where at first I thought there was some affiliation there that they're working out with you, but no, it's a complete private organization. They're not a 501(c)(3). They're just a group of community members that are getting together to have a pop-up at the park, and they want to rent it out, so.
I think that it's important for community members to get together and, create connections within the group. I think as we continue to transition into understanding, how to sustain our city, I think making sure that we're conscious of kind of our fee discounts. And when we recently had a 501(c)(3) come through, like the Hunger Coalition, who has been doing impactful work with our youth. We've seen that, and we've seen it from year to year, and it made sense for us to kind of partner with them. So
I also think it's good to have a separation from what the city is promoting, what the city is organizing versus what private people are doing, and using the title City of Bellevue, or Bellevue Community, however it's played. We're seeing that again with Bellevue.works, a community website that that a person is putting on their own information and their own skew of things, which, it's great if they want to put information out. We are working on our new website to be able to put our information out there clear and in more of an updated platform. And people will be able to sign up for the newsletters and things like that as we get to that point with the website. But again, we just need to make sure that there's a clear division between these private groups and private community functions and what the city is actively promoting.
I 100% agree.
I echo that as well.
Can you see that we can't use the word Bellevue in community? I mean, it's almost like a city
Yeah,
event, you know?
Yeah.
And same with the guy at Bellevue Works. Bellevue Works, well, are you a city event? You know, I think it's misleading.
Very much.
and I think there's layers to that with liability and all of these things, so I think, my opinion on this one is, I echo what the mayor says, and, if they stay within the constraints, they can work within the fee schedule that they've already paid for. If they believe they are gonna be a larger event that exceeds the 100, I think that the necessary fees, to host that large of event in our park space, there's fees associated with it, so.
Yeah.
And the comment I was making about the 501c3s is, I think it's, we can look at things in different ways, but when it's private event style, I think that's a very different situation than a nonprofit that we partner with in years
Yeah.
past, so that was the point I was
Or-
trying to make.
And I do have a big concern about liability because it's a little gray about if this is a city event or not. We know it's not, or a city-sponsored event, I guess, for clarification, but, you know, if there's, you know, a bunch of dogs running around, somebody gets bit, somebody chokes on food, somebody, you know, whatever. I mean, I hate to be a doom and gloomer, but, you know, I think the reality of that is that if something catastrophic were to occur at this event, I have big concerns about us being liable for.
But yeah,
So there's, you know, that kind of opens up a door too, as we're looking at our fee schedules and our permits and how everything's going there. It's not unheard of for event insurance to be required for use of parks and things like that for private events down the line. So that is something other cities within our valley do require. And so it doesn't hurt to look at that.
Yeah.
And, you know, going down the line, if liability becomes an issue, with private events on Bellevue property, so.
well then,
Yes, they don't want to do that. Yeah.
so,
Okay,
And a motion?
yep, I'll put something out there. I move to deny the fee waiver of $242.98 for Jessica Main to waive the extra garbage cans and porta potty fees in association with her park application for Memorial Park.
Second. Member Mahoney?
Yep.
President Giordano?
Yes,
Member Querem?
Yes.
Officer Hudson? Member Lee?
Yes.
Member Shay?
Yes.
Moving on to the consent agenda, we have approval of the common council meeting minutes from March 11th, 2024, regular council meeting minutes, approval of claims, May 29th, 2024 through June 10th, 2024, approval and finding of fact, conclusion of law for a lot line adjustment application submitted by Jeff Swanson on behalf of South Conway LLC, and approval of finding of fact, conclusion of law for a lot line readjustment application submitted by Aaron Bliss Architecture on behalf of KMAM Real Estate IDD LLC. Any questions on the minutes? Any questions on the claims?
Are those the only two things that are on this consent agenda?
no, it's going.
Oh, I see the rest of it, yeah.
Any discussion on the first lot line adjustment with South Conway LLC? Yes.
Did you guys get the email that Mr. Arlington sent out with the revised findings? But apparently I put way too much in there, so he like condensed it a little bit. for me.
Yes, we did, thank you for that.
And I think it's a carbon copy
I think they're both.
for the other one, yeah. I don't have anything to pull from the consent agenda for discussion.
I don't know.
either way.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
You might be right, and I'll look at roll call.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, new business, consideration of resolution number 2380, a resolution of the mayor and the common council of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the state of Idaho DEQ loan offer, acceptance and agreement for drinking water facilities, design and construction. The state of Idaho DEQ loan offer, acceptance and agreement for lead service line inventory and or replacement. DEQ lending funding offer, acceptance and agreement for drinking water facilities, design, construction, and substantial form bond, lead line bond. So we got two different things. We've just gotten a lot of funding right now from DEQ, so that's kind of, this is why this is jumbled, but we have the grant acceptance, which is the Leading Idaho Fund offer. And then we have the facility design bond. And then we took 50,000 for lead service line inventory, which is a $50,000 loan for 20 years with 34,000 or something like that of principal forgiveness. So it came down to very small amount over 20 years to help us do any of the lead service line inventory or replacements that need to happen, might need to happen. Any questions?
Excited. And no plans.
Rick, did you have an opportunity to look at this resolution?
Yeah, we're just, well, it's a resolution, my understanding it's a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the document, so we have it with that red line, right?
Yes. I just want to make sure that it includes everything that it needs to. Did this come from DEQ or did
Bond council.
the bond council created this document? Okay. I'm good with that then.
I'll put a motion on the floor. I move to adopt resolution number 2380, a resolution of the mayor and common council of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to execute the state of Idaho DEQ loan offer, acceptance and agreement for drinking water facilities design and construction. State of Idaho DEQ loan offer, acceptance and agreement for lead service line inventory and or replacement. And DEQ Leading Idaho funding offer, acceptance and agreement for drinking water facilities design and construction, and the substantial form bond / lead line bond.
Second.
Councilmember Shea, member Carrero,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yes.
President Jordan,
Yes.
member Leahy.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item B, consideration of resolution 2381, a resolution of the city council and the mayor of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the city clerk to issue a letter verifying their approval of issuance of not more than 3 resort city restaurant liquor license pursuant to Idaho Code Section 23903C in accordance with the qualifications, proof, and approval as stated therein. So this comes from over the summer, legislature and the resort, what is it, resort
Over the spring with the Idaho, with the Resort Cities.
Cities Coalition. We wanted to get additional liquor licenses on a special basis. Being qualified as a resort city, primary is going to be, they have to do
You have to approve 20% increase in your sewage flows between your low and your high season. It's the main, one of the main.
that's what the city has to approve, but
Yeah.
for the restaurants,
Okay.
they have to primarily be a restaurant, so they have to show more sales from food than liquor. The council will approve any of the licenses. It's a maximum of 3. There is a list of applicants that have applied from historical for a regular liquor license.
Maybe 30 years old.
Those are 30 years old.
Plus, yeah, there's small ones on there.
Those applications would be looked at first, and then they go down the list if they met the requirements of primary food serving establishment. We have the opportunity to restrict the hours, so if we wanted to do it from, 11 till 10:30, so they're just not serving alcohol till 2:30 in the morning.
Okay, I may say this. What about existing liquor license? We get my $150,000 I spent for a liquor license is no longer valid?
No, yours
So-
is valid.
No, I know it is. What I get?
So let me, I printed out the statute for you, so this has been
I
signed.
read it, that.
Oh, you did, okay, so it's been signed in by the governor, and
No,
what Bellevue has the opportunity to do is, take the chance to issue up to 3. There are safeguards on how these licenses are going to be regulated by the ABC and by our local authorities. And there's an opportunity for us as a council to put into our resolution sideboards that really differentiate this restaurant license from a liquor license like a grandfathered legacy license as you're referring to.
Still, what do we get out of it? What do we get? We just get a liquor license, so what, if it's your limited hours, so you still serve liquor, we serve liquor until we close. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it.
Okay, the sideboards that were put in the legislation that we're talking about too are 60% of gross sales. So have to be.
I know, it's, it is what it is.
Okay,
It isn't for, you can start a bar, it's be a bar only, you have to have a restaurant,
yes.
But it's sort of, what is my value of my liquor license, it's going down the tubes.
So these licenses cannot be sold, they can't be
It
transferred.
doesn't matter,
Okay, so the value of the fact that you and one other restaurant can serve liquor in the city, you
Yeah.
think this is going to dilute the value of
Oh,
your license?
wait. So for example, you give it to, Smoky, Southbury Pizzeria. They serve liquor. Well, then you're gonna go drink across the street from me. If we're down at Cutthroat, oh, they serve liquor? Oh, they serve liquor now. I go down there and serve Mahoney's. It's a bad deal. I appreciate the ability to try to do something, but it's nothing, there's nothing for existing holders of license. Sure, we could sell it. And it'd be a bar,
Mhm.
but in Bellevue, it's not applicable a lot. I better be quiet. It's upsetting to me. Regardless of good intentions they are, they never thought about the people, the whole liquor licenses. And what about Haley, every resort license? They get 3, Sun Valley gets 3, it can be losses. Plain and simple. What if you're in Sun Valley or Ketchum? Pay $1 million for your license. What about Boise? Shit, they're
Boise is not qualified for it, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
There'd be losses, well. We can be careful.
So what I wanted to bring out today is I think that the resolution we have in front of us, while it covers authorizing the 3 licenses, I don't think there's quite enough in the resolution to differentiate the licenses between what the restaurant license is and a legacy license that, Mr. Mahoney is talking about. Within the statute, there are some like line items, that identify how this license is different than a legacy license. It has to do with where the alcohol is dispensed. It has to do with the portion of food sales being 60% to 40% alcohol sales. And it also has to do with the marketing of it, not as a bar and lounge. With that dispensing, you know, that could be something as simple as, you know, cocktails need to be taken to somebody on a tray versus served across a bar. There's a lot of ways in which we can create sideboards that make it very different than the licenses that are already in existence. So I just wanted to have a discussion with everyone on, after they read through this, what they felt comfortable with, if we wanted to move forward with approving these or not.
And my understanding is that we've got a deadline by which
I reread, I mean, the letter is in here, and I think it, I don't know, I read it and said, please let us know, but I don't know if it says we have to vote on a resolution by then.
It says next week or 2 weeks now.
On or before
Yeah.
June 15th.
Yeah, it's next week.
I think since it's not like, I don't know, I read that and it kind of sounds like, let the Idaho State Police know if we're considering approving these and what a resolution might look like, but I don't know.
It says, please include a copy of your
Please include
resolution.
a copy of resolution. Okay,
Yeah, by June 15th.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
And so I chipped this up. Since I felt like we need to get it by June 15th, or we're gonna.
Yeah.
Not have a chance to do it at all, so. I think if you guys have hours of operation and stuff, I think that can come up, doesn't have to happen tonight.
we could revise this
I
resolution
think
at
this is
some
just
point.
authorizing the amount of the licenses.
I was gonna, just for
How many
clarification,
licenses you intend to allow in the resolution?
And just because we tell them that we are gonna authorize them, it doesn't mean that we
Have to.
have to.
just
Yeah.
for-
Issue.
issue them, okay.
So we can have a discussion and, you know, the business owner will be able to come in and explain their justification and need. And we are not bold to issue these at all. So,
I think there's some sort of application form that was sent in with this letter. Did you guys get one from it?
I got a physical letter. It wasn't.
Well, there's a letter, the letter refers to an application. It says, the form will be sent with the applications, which must be signed by a city official noting that the statutory criteria is set forth in that.
No, I think that will come later to show that the resort city meets the resort city qualifications.
It's funny because this is normal, how we deal with ABC. Now, ABC works, they fuck it up and they screw it up and they expect us to figure it out. Then they come back to you, oh, you did it wrong. It's very, very confusing, you know, in my opinion. I mean, for example, cutthroat, serve liquor, they serve liquor reopen. Well, they're only open to serve food. So it doesn't really matter to them, you know? They serve more food than booze, is, you know, it's a no-brainer for them, you know? And, you know, and I have nothing to fight them against. You know, and literally, we have people that come into Mahoney's and have cocktails before they go down to Cutthroat. Wow, you know, that would be gone. And there's more than often anything that happens, you know. The same.
So if I'm reading this correctly, we don't necessarily have to say 3, we can say just 1. Is that correct?
I think you are correct in what you're saying.
I'm just, yeah.
no, it's just the
Okay, yeah.
maximum is
Right.
3, so we
Okay,
can
yeah.
say, we intend to authorize 1, 2,
Okay,
or
that,
up to.
yeah, I just
3.
want a clarification on that. I tend to read something and read too much into it.
I think this is a complicated issue, and I think that we're talking about respecting, what has existed in terms of licenses and all of that, and looking at how our community is growing and the needs of the community and the needs of our services to our community. And I think the intention behind this for the Resort Cities Coalition, of course, was to how in our resort communities can we create more sustainable, business operations for our business owners. And a lot of that is in, how you can attract people to your restaurant and how sales can be. So,
And I think, there's probably, businesses, not just north, but south, that would be interested. But they don't want to take that leap without knowing that they, might qualify for some licensing to serve liquor. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's an opportunity for us to make ourselves a bit more sustainable.
Well, pretty soon, we're gonna come up to our third liquor license. I think it's 3,000 people, if I remember right. And so will be another one coming in anyway. So. I really want.
A population-based license,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. How do you feel about?
Which would
Something
be
like
different
this.
than this, I'm
Yes.
presuming, because then
Yeah.
you could just open a bar, right?
I think what's hard right now too is we have 2 bar liquor licenses that are restaurants. So I see kind of what you're saying with where your licenses are attached to restaurants. They're not just bars, and we don't really have any bar licenses anymore. But we're looking at more restaurant style licenses here, so.
Rick, does this resolution contain enough to make you
Well, I
confident?
think Idaho State Police just wants to know how many cities are gonna take advantage of this and how many liquor licenses are gonna authorize.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like this is something that would be good for us to take advantage of and have in our pocket, to me, so.
I mean, I think it doesn't necessarily mean we're approving.
Yeah.
Prior to issuing, we
Yeah.
wanna do ordinances, we wanna set up
Yes.
these
A checklist,
Sideboard.
sideboards and
application.
checklists
Yeah.
and everything, this is just for the, sorry.
Yeah. have
Sorry.
it in
No,
our
okay,
pocket.
Let me see one thing, let's say Cutthroat gets one. So you close food at 9 o'clock, no more booze. But your people are still in there, you're gonna still drink, it seems silly to me,
I think, but that's the intention of the sideboards, and with
I know
anything,
you want
okay,
him to bust people for drinking one drink after service. And I don't want that.
well, you don't want anyone, they can't ring in any sales after the kitchen closes, but.
I find it hard to believe that it would not happen. I'm saying, I'm not against it, but if you're serving liquor, beer, wine, the alcohol, and you're not gonna break down and say, oh, guess you got have alcohol, we close at 9 o'clock, it's 9:05. Can't have alcohol, it's like, come on.
That's not what your opinion, if we set the sideboard, if you have to stop serving at 10, they have to stop serving at 10. They get the privilege of a license, I think they're gonna respect the boundaries of
I
it.
wouldn't wanna jeopardize.
It's a great respect.
Okay. That's okay, yeah.
This is brand new. This happened a couple years ago, thank you, wasn't it? It came up with a possibility of doing different liquor license. It got voted down in the Senate. But now it's come on. I didn't hear about it. Now I don't want to buy it. But resort license. Oh, we're resort. But I didn't even hear about it till today. I read my book. I go, what the hell? I emailed Chris going, what is going on? No one knows about it. I think that so we're gonna talk. I mean, Even if they don't even know what's going on, you know? No, I wish there was somebody, was in their corner, that was here.
Is there any more discussion?
Yeah, honestly, Sean, I get what you're saying, and I don't think we're trying to choose corners right
I
now.
know you're not.
And, but the problem is that Idaho has archaic liquor laws, period, and it does make an unfair, whether we do it this way, it's unfair to you, but it's also unfair to other businesses that can't get a liquor license at all.
Well, they should come up with a solution,
I agree.
pay for my liquor license.
No,
No, I'm serious,
no,
I'm dead serious.
I think there should be a one,
Compensated Somehow, or, they were gonna do it years ago, 5 years ago, you get a discount at the liquor store, well, it's shit. It wasn't much of a discount. If you have a original liquor license. But they should come up with something, I'm serious. They got, man, Haley, ketchup, especially ketchup. What are your license are worth nothing? I spent $500,000 on? That was years ago. It could be lawsuits. I know. Are you gonna vote it in, at least one? No? Why should we do it? I don't think we're capable of doing more than one at the time. Not saying, I'm not sure, you don't get one chance to choose, I don't get it. Could we wait, well, in 2 years, we have a big group coming in, we can do it then. Can we do it 2 years? Can we do it next year? I don't know.
The way I'm understanding it is that if you take the maximum, you don't have to issue them all. You just are letting the state know that you'd like to have access to the
I
maximum.
understand that.
Okay,
Preserving.
the right, thank you. Yeah.
and we don't have to issue any, Sean.
And it seems like it's an established business, not a new business.
So the way I understand it is they have to show before receiving their license, they have to prove all the side boards, basically. They have to show that their restaurant meets.
That it's a brick and mortar business and not a food truck or.
Yeah, and it's their primary is a restaurant that will be serving liquor.
Yeah.
And there'll be steps in there. And again, this just gives us the opportunity to use this. If the legislation comes through next year, they're gonna say that they can turn it back down next year because it was implemented, or they feel that businesses are taking advantage of it.
I guarantee you they're taking advantage of it. It's a matter of time.
But it leaves it up to the council discretion on who gets it. So if we decide that we only want high-end food vendors to be able to do it versus the pizzeria, it can be put in that option. It's gonna be on the council to decide, and I don't know how they're gonna justify that, and that's where I would see that the legal challenges will come from, because, you flip a coin and say a pizzeria can't have one, but diner down the street can. I don't know.
I know that, the agency is gonna start sending out letters July 1. So all I would ask is if, whatever we do on this resolution tonight, if we prioritize the sideboards for the next meeting. And so I would, ask that we have just a maybe light discussion tonight too on what we want those sideboards to look like before going into the next meeting, and maybe decide who to give the direction to write up those sideboards before going to the next meeting, if we think we're gonna move forward.
What different towns, what if they have different sideboards? I mean, it makes no sense to me.
I agree with you, but it's also,
And what, I'm gonna vote everything down, just vote on it, do what you wanna do. I love that.
Yeah, you would be, Mahoney's would be the kind of restaurant bar that this would take advantage, because you guys aren't really a bar, because you don't really stay open until
I know.
2 o'clock in the morning, you usually close fairly reasonably,
So the
so
regional, weekends, you still like.
most restaurants, don't really stay open until 2, so they close earlier, not at all, but there's so. Small town.
There's one other discussion outside boards, or just make some,
Do the motion first. Then we're not.
I mean, if we wanna do the motion first. Can we save a little space, or how do you wanna go about doing that?
Let's do the motion and then we'll discuss steps moving forward with direction on the sideboards and either have Rick or whoever will be following up with those.
Can I see one other thing? It seems that they're, since we never were notified, it's throwing it down our throat. I mean, it happens so fast. We can't, we're gonna talk about it for 20 minutes and call it good. This is serious shit, you know? And I don't understand it. And why do we have to come up with everything tonight? So we just learned about it. Recently. It makes no sense.
The only thing that we're approving tonight, Sean, is to say that, yes, we are considering giving up to 3, or if there's another number that we want to use. Outside of that, we can sit on this until we get more guidance, until we have a full discussion. Everybody puts their input on what they want to see sideboards. It doesn't have to be. Everything does not have to be ratified and put into ordinance tonight. Just the acceptance that we are going to be telling Idaho State, yes or no, we are, which way we're going.
And I would like to consider moving the sideboard discussion out to another meeting so that I have an opportunity to look and do some research and see what other sideboards are out there and what's working and what's not.
And I,
Nothing's working at, nothing else.
well, it hasn't yet, and I've been, I'm gonna have a follow-up call with the mayor of the city of Driggs. Cause this is statewide resort cities. I know Ketchum did pass a resolution and is considering amendment with sideboard, so I think we're gonna see a lot of different things happening because it's new. So I think it's, this may be a.
And Sandpoint was
Let's
with
take
you.
some time.
They have 4 licenses or whatever up there that one guy owns, and he was adamantly against this. And so they may not be even putting it into the policy. It's all gonna depend on what the council decides and how we put it into the final code and what it's gonna look like and how we go through the approval process. But all we do know is that there's already a list from ADC from the original applicants from 1970. There's, I think, 4 on that list from Bellevue, do you remember?
No, there's like 9 or 10.
9 or 10. And so, and they have to show the building, their business plan, their business model, and how they're gonna stay in line with whatever's established. But this tonight is just a discussion to say if we want to tell the state we want to accept the licenses or not.
Well, if everyone has had an opportunity to speak their piece, I'm ready to make a motion. Move to adopt resolution 2381, a resolution of the city council and mayor of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the city clerk to issue a letter verifying their approval of issuance of not more than 3 resort city restaurant liquor licenses pursuant to Idaho Code Section 23-903C in accordance with the qualifications, proof, and approval as stated therein.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Michelle.
Member Shea,
Aye.
President Giordani,
Yes.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
Member Carrero,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
No,
motion passes 4 in favor.
Item C, consideration resolution 2382, a resolution of the common council of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, adopting the city of Bellevue financial controls policy. So as part of the grant and bond acceptance, we had to come up with a policy. Shelley, did you or Michelle work on that?
She drafted it, I made comments, but I don't see any changes as a result of my comments.
Okay. Do you want to go in more detail on this, Michelle?
We have to have it, and I'm surprised you don't already have it.
Basically. Rick,
What's that?
do you have any comments on the financial control policy?
Not really, I'm not an auditor or anything, so I'm not really. It's kind of beyond my expertise on that. I would suggest that we do it, maybe handbook, do we have a handbook or?
Personnel manual.
Personnel manual. In the section governing the treasurer.
So basically, if you read through it, it's just providing purpose and direction on how we manage the money that's coming in, account for the expenditures on these projects, and make sure we stay up on our books so our audits are clean and we can be fiscally responsible and show people that we are keeping track of our funds and where they're going.
My one question was under segregation of duties, number 1. I don't currently approve all expenses and invoices. So is there like a line item number? Minimum?
Our accountants take a look at this, ones that we use for.
Oh, I didn't even think to send it to them.
So on your payment of claims, you don't see everything that was purchased, like purchase orders and,
Oh, got it, okay, I see.
no, I'm just asking. Because if you get everything on payment of claims, you are.
Seeing and proving, yes, okay, thank you.
On our claims part of the consent agenda is reflected, so that was gonna be my question too.
And this went to DEQ and through the bond council again, right? So, and so this came out because DEQ said we had to do this. I got a few different drafts. I had Michelle come up with something, and then we reviewed it with Merrick, with the bond council, and DEQ for approval.
My question is, are policy documents like this updated, or, how long does this withstand in terms of it being a policy?
I would say just like a resolution, if it doesn't get
I
changed, it
think it
is what it
stays
is.
in effect until you just change it.
Okay.
Unless you put some sort of expiration date on it.
I mean, it's important to have that. That was just, if it needs to be changed, if it does go through with the accountants or something like that, and there are some errors, it sounds like we could make changes to it. But it'd be nice to get something in place and know that, it can be adjusted as needed as things change.
Their motion.
I will set a motion for it. I move to adopt resolution number 2382, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Bellevue, Idaho, adopting the City of Bellevue Financial Controls Policy.
Second.
Yes.
President Giordani.
Yes.
Member Carrero.
Yes.
Member Mahoney.
Yep.
Member Shea.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we've gone for an hour now, and we'll be moving into the budget workshop. Good to go, we need a quick break.
Over there to that chair.
Please.
Come on over.
What did you ask about my name? Is this you?
That was me. Sorry.
It's okay. It was cute. I called it, I was like, ooh.
No, it was me.
Yeah.
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 those are more details on what you guys have,
Oh.
if you want the rest of everything.
What?
Didn't have enough.
More money, you mean?
No, it just includes everything that's in the books,
Okay.
basically, but we. Casey, you want? Pass this to Casey, maybe?
All three, one of each?
Yeah, one of each.
Oh, boy.
Oh, good boy.
And one to Marshall. Not used to it being over there.
I used to be in the corner facing out.
Thank you, sir.
But then he's gonna have to do the flying Melinda across the table.
He's got eyes on the door.
You need a chair with no arms. There's a couple of those around here somewhere.
All right, how do you want to start, so where do you want to go?
Well, go to the very front of your books and.
See if your name's all right.
The very first thing you're gonna see, I'm gonna try to, I guess, I've never been through this, so it's a first for me. So I have worked really hard on general fund for this meeting. So we're gonna kind of look at revenues first, where we're at, and then we can go look at each department. My goal for this meeting would be to get an idea based on where we're starting from, what needs to change to get where we might need to be. Does that make sense? So the very first thing you'll see is the fiscal year 25 budgets at a glance. This mimics pretty closely what I have to actually publish when we get our budgets. So if you look at the first column, revenue, okay, according to what is in your worksheets now, these numbers, oh, thank you. These numbers are reflected in the individual worksheets. So please, everyone, this is draft. This is gonna change a whole lot by the time we're done. Okay, this is just a starting point. So if you look at revenue, totals 1.9, PR is payroll, okay? So broken down by departments, total 1.7, starting, there's some additions to payroll that makes that go up, so. Maintenance and operations is the next column, so basically all of our operating costs. Cap is capital expenses, and then there's the total expense column for each department. Okay. Then you see the difference between revenue and expenses for that department, and that what percentage of the budget they actually are. Any questions on that so far?
We're gonna go into each department.
Yeah, we're gonna go
I
into
think
each
I'll
one.
save mine for each department.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all gonna change according to what we do with departments. So then on the right, that right-hand box is basically expenses. So if you look, the first column there, fiscal year 25 draft, 611 today, that's what's currently in the worksheets here. We have our budget for fiscal year 24, 2.3 was our general fund budget. Okay. How we're over or under. So basically the difference in what's in the drafts here and our budget for fiscal year 24 is a difference of 453,000. Okay. And then the increase or decrease compared to our current fiscal year. Okay. Questions on that? I think it'll, as we go through each one, it'll make more sense. Okay, so flip to your next page and rotate finder. Sorry, that was the only way I could do the payroll or those kind of sheets and get them on there. So I did a breakdown of general revenues. I did a year-to-date as of May 31st, your first column on that next sheet. Our fiscal year 24 budget. Keep in mind, this is just revenues for the entire general fund. I did an estimate of where I think we're gonna end up. Okay, any notes? You'll see over there AIC, those numbers came from AIC. Because there are some state funds that are going down. Revenue is state liquor, is going down. State sales tax revenue is going down. Yeah, so we have some, yeah, it is. And then, of course, I put in the fiscal year 25 estimates. And that's all in the individual departments. But this is, again, the total, kind of pulling it all together. Let me know if I confuse anybody here, because this is, I mean, I swim in these numbers daily, so.
Are your estimates conservative, would you say? For fiscal year 25?
Yes, yes. There's a couple of things we need to look at in more detail. If you turn to page 2 on this, for example, the DIF funds, I'm very concerned because we budgeted for 66,000 of DIF funds, fiscal year 24. We have received 13. And so I did a conservative, okay, maybe 3 more at these typical averages each in my estimation. That's really, really rough. I don't know how you got the numbers for fiscal year 24, but our numbers are not following this and we're way off.
I wondered,
What's that?
development impact fees.
Development impact fees, yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe the previous treasurer was anticipating the annexations.
But we had an interim treasurer at the time.
Yeah, does anyone remember any discussion about that from last year?
I don't recall DIF discussions from last year.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think we had a discussion about it, truthfully.
No.
We've had
It was
3
fast.
projects that we've gotten fees from, 3, this entire fiscal year. We are 8 months into the year.
Do you think there's a possibility there was undercharging with those fees?
There could have been, yes.
Okay.
I don't have any specifics. I mean,
But wasn't there a formula?
it's on the applications, yes.
Formula recently got changed.
What?
The formula recently got updated, because for the longest time, the formula was wrong, and it just recently got updated to the correct formula.
Boy,
That is a request.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So what happens is in the document you guys adopted in May, the person that prepared it, like exhibit K shows community development fee. So where they input it in the formula area, they put in the formula area more than what was in the summary. And then when they did the add sum, they didn't calculate it right. So I had to go back and, because you adopted these basic maps, and I had to figure out percentage wise how it changed. There was 2 columns that were wrong in residential, so I had to make them match to the number that was adopted.
Talking about May of last year.
Yes.
Correct.
And then it's my understanding, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, that from May until when I fixed it, the DIF fees may not have been being, well, for last year, because the breakdowns didn't match and nobody
I'm just gonna say, it took the initiative to make the match.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of hours making everything match.
So that's.
The business, industrial, and retail were all wrong.
Okay.
And so I had to adjust them to match what you adopted. Does that
So
make
when I
sense?
asked about the, potentially, we're not collecting the
There
correct
could have
amount
been
of
a
fees,
timeframe.
it sounds like the budget might not be aligning with reality, and reality sounds like it was a little, it could have been off.
So it
from what we
kept all
should
the
have been.
base amounts exactly the same as they were adopted, but I had to change it by, like, the library, you know, I needed to add in $1.38, so I gave it to the library, because they didn't have a lot. I'm just saying, the departments that were the lowest, I'd give them that extra $1.23, and, you know, this one, the extra $1.20, because I divided it out by 3, because 3 departments were always off. I don't know if that makes sense, but it took like 12 hours to fix it.
So in looking at this whole general revenue sheet, my conclusion is, I mean, and of course, I'm totally guessing on that DIF stuff, whether we're gonna have 3 more or whatever, is we're gonna come in about 420,000 short of what we anticipated. Yeah, I don't
Well,
mean to
another
be the
huge
bearer of bad
issue is
news.
Carl Malone they have not paid for their permit, and that's where your DIF fees are gonna come from. This permit's huge.
Okay.
Like in the 93,000 category.
Yeah, so. yeah,
Have
it is
you-
what it is.
Has there been an opportunity to connect with the previously contracted treasurer to get? That been a discussion?
She's not, I mean, I could call her, but I don't think she's gonna have anything to add
No.
to this.
Okay, I was just thinking if she was the one who helped put it together, if she had.
I
some
mean,
information.
I can certainly try. I was under the gun for this.
Not, yeah,
And
it's
it's
just a thought.
kind of one of those things that I would like to look into more, and I can certainly call her, yes. Any questions about that? So then behind that, we have a general fund of where we're at. Keep in mind differences here that my QuickBooks printout shows the carryover, whereas I'm not showing it in this other stuff because I had not calculated carryover yet. But I'm concerned about it, because of where it looks like we're going, but, I will, for our next one, have a guesstimate of carryover for our next session. Didn't mean to depress you all, sorry.
Reality.
Okay. Okay, should we go into admin?
Let's go into admin.
So really quick, these pages are just where we're currently at with our general fund. Okay.
I'm sorry, did you say something to me? Okay, so admin, this is my basic budget worksheet. I did not have time to go back fiscal year 22 on some of these, some of them I did. If you feel like you need that for next meeting, I can do that, but I've got at least 23 moving forward on each sheet, okay? So you'll see 23 budget. You'll see 24 budget, and actuals through May. Okay, actuals, and then numbers, the gray areas are places that I need to have questions answered. They just weren't doable for this meeting to plug in something there. One, of course, is carryover. City property tax, we will not know that until the end of July. So I simply did a 3%. It could be 3 to 8% depending on new builds and new construction. So that's a very rough guesstimate in there. And I need to do a little research on that, why there was 750 of interest in admin, I don't understand. Because all the interest that we earn are on our investment accounts, and those go into the investment accounts. They don't go into actual operating. Payroll. For fiscal year 24, what I learned going through this process was you budgeted more for payroll than our actual payroll is. So that was a good thing. And if anyone wants to know exactly why, I can tell you later, but. So that's why you're gonna see, for example, the draft fiscal year 25 for salaries and wages is less than the fiscal year 24 because you budgeted more than what you committed to.
Is, you mean by committed to that we actually have spent in payroll, or is that if we had our full staffing and we were still?
No, you hired a couple of us at less than what you budgeted for.
Okay.
I have a question about admin salaries and wages. Has there ever been a discussion about sewer and water clerk being paid from sewer and water?
That came up to me very recently, and I think it's actually a pretty good idea that we move, if you guys are in agreement, move that position to be paid out of water sewer. When we get into Cassell, I would really like to solve some of our messy cash situations. In terms of, we have water and sewer funds that I have to audit and go, this account owes this and this account owes this, and I have to do fixing every year. When we go into Cassell, which is the plan, I would like to have anything that's water get charged directly and sewer directly and general fund, so that we don't have that. Yes. So one of the ways that we deal with that is there is an administrative fee that water and sewer pays to admin for that. So now I found an old worksheet of how those numbers were created. And I would like the chance to work on that and present that at the next meeting. But the administrative fee income that you see in admin is from the water and sewer compensating for some of our water sewer clerk time, some of my time, postage, mailings, all of that. I would like to see in the future, all of that go directly from the appropriate funds.
Yeah, that's, I'm in agreement.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Did I answer your question?
you did. And it sounds like we're gonna talk about it further with a little more research and information, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So, I forewarned you that I was gonna rearrange a few of the accounts. So you'll see a couple that maybe are crossed out because they've been redone. I've added a couple of accounts like travel expense. We were lumping all meetings and trainings, but we weren't separating travel from any of that. So I used Haley's chart of accounts as an example. And used that when I was looking at trying to update our chart of accounts for transitioning into Cassell. So you're gonna see a few changes there.
I see your note on IT support about splitting among departments.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, is that something, I mean, how do you guys feel about, there's a lot of things that I think admin kind of absorbs that aren't necessarily split out amongst everybody. And, you know, I'm happy to take that and split it out and have each department be responsible for, I mean, it involves all the departments.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how you guys felt about it.
Whatever's cleanest for you, whatever's the easiest for you to lay out, and we take track of it. But I mean, like the copier, if all departments are using the copier.
Yeah, and that one's not split out. So admin absorbs all of that.
Right.
But like if one department needs a new piece of equipment, is that
That's
office?
separate. That's separate.
I think if it's not too labor intensive for you, I think it's appropriate to split those things out among departments, but
Yeah.
I trust your.
Okay, well, the IT support is a set contract amount, so it's easy enough to each time we get a bill that, you know, Marshall pays this much, admin pays this much, streets pays this much, you know, it's just split out. So that's kind of why I put that note there. I wasn't sure why there was conjunctive management budgeted in fiscal year 24 in admin. Does anyone recall anything about that?
Is that for attorney's fees,
Yeah, for water.
for water law?
Yeah.
Or
It's,
for
it's,
Anderson,
it's for the,
Brownlee, the Q Brownlee. Is that what it is?
Which has all been paid out of water.
no, it should be the conjunctive management would be, isn't that the big groundwater management fund that we pay into the safe account and the cloud seeding? It's $10 per acre foot or something like that.
Have we had a bill?
And
Because
then
we haven't paid anything from that.
You should be getting something, I think it'll come from. Let's,
We paid something. It looks like we paid something.
it's
actually got an admin?
There's 26.2 budgeted in admin.
I don't know why it come out of that, it should come out of water because, yeah, but it's coming from the Wood River
Oh, yeah, we have
RC&D,
paid, sorry.
Resource and Conservation, Resource Conservation Development.
Okay. So then my fiscal year 25 needs to be revised with some there on that.
Does that need to live in admin or can that live in?
Well, I think we need to figure out exactly if it is part of the plan or if that's something else.
Okay. I'll have to look back in the payables files and maybe I can talk to the mayor or something about it. Okay.
But since it went into effect in 23, 24, 25 will be the first year we paid into it. So that's why there's nothing there for 2023.
Okay, okay. So I'll have to add in whatever that appropriate amount is. We haven't budgeted any contract labor out of admin since 23. Liability insurance, I have plugged numbers in, but it will change based on the actual percentage of the budget as we go through. That will change. I have that worksheet all set up. I had a thought of separating office supplies and cleaning supplies. I don't know, I don't like lumping that all together, but I thought we'd just do that when we went into Cassell. I mean, and just separate it out at that point. Most of it's pretty similar to what we've been doing. The one difference that you're gonna see, well, this is operating here to the end of the page. When you go to the next page, computer purchases, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, are actually a capital expenditure. So I have moved and created a computer purchase in capital for all the departments.
Okay.
Okay. So when you get to the bottom of admin, 23, there was almost $500,000 in expenses. Yeah, our actuals to date through May, we're at 357,000. And our budget for this year is 563,000, almost 564. And the draft, of course, it doesn't have the conjunctive management stuff there. Currently, as this sits, is 566, 574. So admin's not a lot of
Changes.
yeah. It's not a difficult one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I have our actual budget, like you get in all your reports behind each section. If you want to look at it. So does anyone have anything significant or any comments on what you think needs to change in admin?
This is my staffing comment, this is my main comment.
Okay. And we can actually look at payroll. So if you flip behind your year-to-date, your big foldout has payroll numbers. Now, I started with fiscal year 23, so that's kind of actuals. The first section. Then I went to fiscal year 24. And then based on that, I did a fiscal 25 for admin that just is status quo. But then I did a 3% COLA for all the departments. So that's why you can see the subtle, very minor differences in fiscal years because of budgeted more than what. Any questions on how to read those? So what's plugged into your expenses is the admin with the COLA. That's what's plugged in. And then the last page of that payroll is the mayor and council payroll. Because that's lumped in with admin. So I guess at some point we have to talk personnel about how you want to approach payroll.
Are we allowed to ask questions yet? I was just wondering, did our health insurance, did we go to a different health insurance this year?
No.
Next year? No, we're staying at the same one. With the same,
We don't get information on it until September.
okay,
I mean, it happened after I started last year,
okay.
so.
Well, I knew for last year it was the same, but there was talk last year that it might change for this year.
It actually went down for fiscal year 24.
Okay,
I did a 5% bump just for safety's sake, for figuring 25. I did a 5% bump. I also did Percy adjusts mid-year. So I did the same bump that they did this year on Percy. I did it for fiscal year 25, just to be safe. That's why you're gonna see 2 Percy columns. One happens for 19 payrolls, one happens for 7 payrolls for the year. But when you look at the total benefits column, it is the health insurance and the Percy's. That's what the benefits.
Well, I'll throw something out there. I'm sure I've mentioned it to the mayor and council president at some point, but on the payroll side of things, other jurisdictions that I've worked in, they do an annual performance review at the same time that we're talking about budgeting and payroll, so that staff understands where they are and what needs to be improved or not. And so I just think that that's something that needs to happen. I know it's an extra step. I know it's a little bit more work.
No, Kurt's already doing it for the marshal's
For
department.
my department, just so you know, it's every April. We do it. Just so you're aware.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know, but I still think it should be, everybody.
Oh, and it's gonna be, we'll do an annual review. I'm working with Casey right now on when we're gonna do his. He's coming up on his anniversary, for lack of a term. But to spread them out, so I'm not doing 8 of them all at once. It'll probably be on anniversary dates. And then we'll start keeping a better track in personnel files on those, and we'll build on them after every year. So it is in the works. Just does not happen overnight.
can I just say something? We did used to do those, I think it was when Ned was here. So some of us have some in our personnel files already, I mean, in the yearly thing. At that point, I had another employee, so, you know, there are some, or there's a form somewhere, or, yeah, so just, I don't know. They were implemented at one point and they kind of went default.
I think the last one I recall was when Koch was the mayor, and that was 3 mayors ago.
And I was doing it.
Three?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
It was either Koch or Ned, I can't remember.
Over 20 years.
Anyway, I just, I just kind of want to put that out there that, that's something that's really important
No,
for
I
us to
agree.
do as we manage our staff.
I think it's only fair for the employees to ensure that we have, good communication and, proper, what do you call it, continuing education and training
Training.
and getting them, the tools they need to be successful. It gives us an opportunity, to see what they've done and review their performance to understand, what raises may or may not be available. And we can do the personnel side. So I want to get them back instituted. Just a lot going on. But we won't get it happening.
Well, my anniversary isn't until after budget, so.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. So anything specific than other than do we want to look at moving that one position to water sewer?
Yes.
I thought
Okay.
that sense.
Okay. On to buildings and grounds.
And as long as it doesn't, I know we have some sort of issue with payroll with Casey on the streets, getting when his crew is working.
I've got that all in here.
Okay.
I've got it all figured out for this year.
Okay.
Casey and I have done our homework.
Excellent.
Buildings and grounds. Sorry, I didn't do fiscal year 23 on this one. I didn't get that one in there. But you can see there's a nominal amount put in payroll. We're gonna look at actually. Go back to your payroll for buildings and grounds, the last sheet on your big one that flips out. Let's start with that because what we've done is we figured out that approximately 16% of the streets guys' time is spent on buildings and grounds. So we split that between the two. And then Casey figured out that he's probably half of what one of those is. So this payroll reflects their time as buildings and grounds. So it only comes out to it's a pretty nominal payroll. Parks, on the other hand, goes up considerably. But this one, it only affected it a little bit more in terms. Casey, do you have any comments on that? Okay, so now if we go back to our actual buildings and grounds worksheet, that's where those numbers came from, was that.
And just for clarification, what are we referring to as buildings and grounds? So we've got City Hall, we've got, what else? The city stuff?
City owned,
Museum.
Library,
yeah,
Fire department, buildings, ground.
it should be. All of the city-owned buildings or grounds should be reflected out of this. All city property.
And the shop, all that.
The treatment plant? Is it all on its own?
That would be under sewer,
Just city property?
yeah. Okay, so as we look down this, we have a landscape service contract, a very small portion of that has been going, that's for City Hall and the library. Most of that goes toward, parks, yes, thank you. It's been a long week getting all this together.
A lot of numbers there.
A lot of numbers. Maintenance and repairs, general includes our office cleanings at $500 a month. I know that might be something we want to look at what we do there. But that is in this buildings and grounds. Gas, I had Marcy separate out utilities this year. That's one change I made. We're doing gas, power, trash and recycling. We're breaking them down. So, so you can see how much is going on with those. I have not had a chance to in detail separate out the trash and recycling. I do have the information. And I apologize, I did not get that prepared for this. So that will adjust with some trash and recycling. Again, back to the discussion of what do you want to do with our, I can give you generally that are contaminated fees. Let's talk about those for a second. The contaminated fees for this fiscal year, $2,451 so far.
And that's not something that we budgeted for?
So just.
No, that's above.
Above what.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, I didn't ask my question.
I think we need to get rid of that recycling.
At Riverview alone, this year alone, we paid over $3,000 for cardboard recycling. And then for Pine Street, Clear Creek, that's our garbage, that's only $300. The extra cardboard has been $216 for the year. So it's the contaminated that's really, yeah, the recycling of 3,000 and contamination of 2,400. So there's over $5,000 just on cardboard.
And people are just throwing stuff in.
Yeah.
I feel like if people really want to recycle their cardboard, they're getting gypped because you're just throwing it into a dumpster right there. And it's the only way to actually properly do it is to take it up to the recycle center.
Or pay for your own recycling and
Yeah.
I go
Not
back to
getting
if there's
any recycling.
businesses that need to do recycling.
Yeah.
If there's an option for business to add on their own recycling and control the contamination there, so.
No, I mean, we are
But it's
paying
not doing anyone any
almost
favors.
twice as much when we should be just on the contamination.
Yeah.
And so we're just paying for it, not safe for it.
That's really discouraging for people who do want to recycle too, so.
I think it's time.
And the people who do want to make the effort will go and take it, so,
Can I pull the trigger on that?
yeah.
All of it.
I think
there's the
cardboard
cardboard
recycling,
Both of
recycling.
them. I think we have two.
And then we get stuff like this too, where people just put their tires by it and expect it to go away.
I think, because here's the thing, if
I've seen
it's
their
recycling,
mattress
we can always,
leaned up
if
against
there's a,
that.
big demand
Community
within the
outdoor.
community to bring it back, we can always bring it back, but.
No, I
Do you
can't.
believe that?
No, I think, the one, which one's the bad one? I think it's at, I think it's at the fire station.
Yeah.
Isn't that one worse than the other one?
You don't want my opinion on it. I spend half of my
Yeah, he cleans it up.
day cleaning it up, picking it up, trying to educate, and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
You can look, they use my training cars for pallets, for tires, for,
Yeah,
you know,
gotta go.
Yeah,
I'm
Stop
I
it,
was sick of it before they started.
yeah.
My personal opinion. And it's a mess.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I don't think we anticipated that people were gonna be.
People?
People.
look at the bottle caps.
Yeah, to put it this way, at Mahoney's, we have recycling. And people come and use it, and it's so trash in it, contaminated
So
every fucking week,
Yeah.
every week.
Do you have a lock on it?
No. I guess we should, but.
Yeah.
You know, it's gotten so bad.
Well, I think we
Terrible.
started having to lock our little dumpster back here, if that's still
Mhm.
there,
It has a
It's
lock,
it's
that's
locked.
but,
A company
The
dumpster.
post office took out the second. You know, I mean, but that's, you know, all the way up to Sun Valley, they've done that.
I mean, it would help us, I know, all of it helps when it comes to budget.
well, and I think, you know, now is the time, even though we haven't gotten through this whole thing, that we need to be really proactively cutting back any frivolous, and I don't mean that recycling is frivolous, so Tony, don't quote me there.
Scratch that.
It's too late,
Off the record.
yeah.
Your point,
It's
we
a
get what
very
you're saying,
expensive
Yeah,
way to.
I'll stop talking right now.
I was trying to write about this. Contamination is killing it.
I wanted to write about this a few months ago, but I couldn't find details on where the dumpsters are, what's happening with them. I was also to do a story. It's a little late now, but.
No, but I think if we can talk with Clear Creek and see if we can, see what options they have for residential recycling, if they can, right now, I know they just do, cans and, plastic. If they can go back.
And
to-
white paper.
And white paper.
Yes, white
Right.
newspaper, I think qualifies too.
But I think they're gonna do it the same way because they don't wanna deal with all the contaminants coming from the single use, so.
Ohio Gulch has great separated systems up there that you
Yeah.
can take things to. Tires.
People who want to recycle will go to the extra effort, I think, and you're destroying your subway, it's discouraging.
Compactor.
Yeah. Got the really nice compactor up there.
So overall, buildings and grounds, I mean, pretty much is up, you know, like 10 over. I'll have to plug in that number for trash and recycling, minus the recycling. On that. Any questions for that?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Community development?
No.
ED? Sorry for the small print on this one. I'll try to make it bigger for next time.
Oh, my word.
Don't cry, don't cry.
Just give us the magnifying glass.
Yeah. So, year to date, building permits, 22,000, we budgeted for 50,000. I hope we get a lot coming in the next few months.
Well, the Malone application should be substantial, but I don't know if it's gonna make up that difference.
Same with all of it, I mean, everything
I
is
think this
down.
it also is an important time to say, what are our fees looking like?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
what they should be, where they are.
Yeah.
You know, cause
Definitely.
Are we still seeing houses come in? We still see houses going up. Where are our building fees?
we're also, that's what I've been wondering, where are the fees for renovations that are happening?
What about, Silver Dollar?
Those would be under building permits.
Yeah,
Well, are they all being permitted? That's more my statement there.
That's,
Gotcha.
you know, that's been obvious, it's a Main Street, Silver Dollar, log cavity,
Do we have to?
it's an extensive rehab in that building.
Do we have any kind of
Everybody has a permit.
for La Cab?
That would get. We already have it.
There absolutely should be. I mean, there,
There's only been 4 or 5 new residents since October.
We're talking about the restaurant, that's being
Remodeled.
remodeled.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
saying, the building, there's a lot of re-roofs, there's a lot of fences, but as far as brand new residential, I only know 4 or 5.
Okay.
Mountain rides.
But there should be something for
Carl
like
Malone's
those
is around $94,000. That's still sitting there waiting to be.
Ashley did that one.
Ashley did it
for which?
Like,
for La Cab.
Yeah, it was in the fall. Right after it sold, when did it sell?
That's, April.
April?
So it was before this fiscal year. What's that?
I'm talking about April of last year.
Right, yeah, it was like a year, a little over a year ago.
I don't think they And then having trouble
No one
doing the
ever does
permits.
such a fancy.
Couldn't figure it out.
So for income on P and Z community development, I just kind of let the numbers continue. I don't know what to say other than that.
I'll just make a note, I'm happy to see that we're allocating salary for fiscal year 25, because,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm
Um,
happy to see it, because it
so
wasn't 20
The
years
reason
forward.
it's higher is because I have done it full staff. So I put them both in. So yeah, when you look at the salaries, and the payroll, we can look at the details on the payroll sheets, but that reflects 3 people.
I
in
have
that
high hopes
department.
that we'll get everything filled up, so.
Um, You know, yeah, I just find some of the numbers kind of interesting on these. Like if you look at the DBS contract labor, which is a division of building safety that we pay them 45% of,
The 65.
oh, 65%.
Well, 65, but they get 45%.
Okay. Okay, so in fiscal year 23, it was 46,000 is what was actually budgeted. Now, that's not an actual figure, that's what was budgeted. Year to date, we're at 17, and we budgeted 23. But what happened between 23 and now, I mean, is my question was like, you know, we pay them, I mean, that's portion out of the building permits that we collect that we have to pay out to.
That feels
So,
skewed from what we brought into what we've paid out, percentage wise. Like it feels like we paid out higher than what we brought in permits, unless I'm reading that wrong, Shelley. Because if we're only paying them out 45% of our permit fees, we paid out 17,000.
What's the difference between?
yeah, you're
Building
right, it does look funny,
Well,
doesn't it?
not permit fees, they get that of the plan check, they don't get it at the whole fee. Go look at the contract.
I'm just saying we're paying
Yeah.
more than what we're bringing in, in terms of percentage.
I'd have to go look at the contract, but Diane, is it 40, they get the 45% of?
I have a note, 45% of the building permit fees and 45% of plan review fees is what they get.
And that was an automatic formula that was, I don't know what the term is, but it just auto-populated when you plug those numbers in. There was a formula that just happened and corrected it, double checked itself. So I don't know if that's something that still is in an old spreadsheet.
That's why it looks off.
Is it, is that plan review
45% of
fees?
what?
I caught it, thank you.
No, they don't get 45% of the building permit fees, they only get 45% of the plan check. They don't get any of the
Building.
permits.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you for clarifying.
okay,
Yeah, they don't get any of that, just the plan check.
it is interesting that we show that there's been 15,000 come in, but we paid 17 out.
Yeah.
That's where it's wrong, something's wrong somewhere.
Yes.
Well, I'll try to look into what's going on there a little bit. It's been hard to find history on some of this stuff. Yeah.
I know we're working on it, my concern is just if all our permits and fees are being appropriately collected within this department.
Well, I have to tell you, I went back for the last year and looked at all of our professional engineering charges from Galena Benchmark and legal fees, and have billed all of our customers that should have been billed because it pertained to their project. Overall, the response has been just kind of, oh, what happened? Why, what? But I've collected probably 30,000 maybe of fees. There's a lot of little ones hanging out there that I don't know if they'll ever pay, but they've been billed. So, trying to collect all of that. That does go back into last fiscal year. So that's why it skews a little bit of what you see on the, well, I guess I didn't really reflect it here. I kind of, because we collected some from back, so. Going forward, I am billing those out. Hoping to pass that to Amy someday here. So. So this department's budget went back up to where it, you know, would be reflecting with 3 people. If you want to look at the payroll.
Who's the third?
What's that?
What's the third position?
Planner, development director,
And then
and Amy. And on this, I did fail, it does say COLA, but I did not reflect that on Amy's, that was a mistake, I should have put the COLA on her. The other 2 haven't been hired yet, so. But I'll adjust that for next. I did get an application today for development director, so I just haven't had a chance to even pass it along yet. Questions about community development? Do you want it? Do you want it in here with all 3 in there right now?
Yes.
Until we get through everything and see where you might want to start cutting?
I like it in there.
Okay, so continuing on, fire. We have a couple options here, and Greg, feel free to pipe up whenever. But we've done his budget worksheet. Option 1 is kind of a status quo. Option 2 puts Greg in there as a full-time fire chief. Okay. So it didn't make that much of a difference. What I thought was interesting, putting him in there, and there's a lot of reasons why we could really use him full-time, with inspections and things that are not happening the way, I mean, you know, like every business when they renew their license every year and all that stuff. Greg, would you like to talk any more about that at all? Okay.
Open for questions.
Okay. So if you look at option 1, basically, it might be easier, do you want to look at the payroll sheet? Yeah. Let's look at the payroll sheet. So I got 23 actuals in here for you. And then fire was a little complicated because we have, Greg does his admin, which is part-time, based on 20 hours a week. And then he has training time and fire call time, which are all separate pay schedules. And then we have our volunteer training schedule, which is a separate pay item, and then volunteer fire calls. So I've broken it all down. So we can get a pretty good picture of total. So for fiscal year 24, I mean, we're guesstimating roughly it's a estimated just under 70,000 of gross pay, 67 for gross pay. Estimating, I'm guesstimating on based on hours of what they do. But then if you look at going then forward into fiscal year 25, the 2 options are on the second page. So you've got basically adding a COLA onto 3% onto everybody. Total payroll is annual wages would be about 73,360. I mean, pretty nominal. That's based on admin of 20 hours a week, training 80 hours a month, and 10 calls 10 hours a month of calls, and that's just based on averages. But then the second one there is if we put him in at full-time, I just picked a rate. I just plugged it in because I wanted to see what it would be, what the difference is. So, you know, we're roughly at just over $30,000 difference to add him in as.
Kind of feels the rate, did you combine the training and the admin?
Oh, yeah, what I did there was then I said, this was just my logic going, okay, in the 40 hours a week as full-time, that could cover training and his admin. And so I took training time out. Which is pretty significant if you look at his training. So, I mean, do you think that in the 40 hours a week, you could handle the training and all the admin?
Not at 35 an hour.
Okay, well, I plugged that number in.
That's a significant decrease in my salary. It's up for negotiation. I could leave, turn my pager off, but, and I go out of town, you know, cause I show up a lot here, you know. There's overtime involved, that kind of thing. It's up for negotiation.
And I realize this is a lot all at once so that's why I just kind of wanted to go through this and let you guys, let it all kind of sink in. And then we go back and go, okay, how do we make this work? You know, so
This is their overview. Then we gotta relax, take it easy. You know, we have it in front of us. And they know that then the next 2 to 4 weeks, we're gonna go hardcore.
yeah. So I just kind of wanted to set the stage with what, if we, you know, community development, full staff, if we added potentially fire chief, you know. So back at his
Well, and
budget.
I think if, we look at community development, sorry, we've already moved on. We're not gonna be doing that massive hit in contract labor once we are fully staffed there. So.
Yeah, if you just looking at our.
You just use our
plans for the
staff.
month of May in terms of contract. For that zone and using our staff instead, I think we'll see a balance for what you budgeted versus what we're currently paying.
I guess I was under the impression that contracted labor in community development was stuff that staff needed assistance with.
We don't have the staff to do the work, so that's why the contractors are there, but.
Yes.
Okay,
once
so
the
there
staff
is some,
replace it.
okay.
But I think that they should be being billed on individual projects. For example, I know in the payables, there was like $455 for Great West to review the Gannett Ranch annexation.
Yeah, that will go on
application,
that.
and that will be
Yeah.
billed forward off of us
Yes.
and onto them. Yeah.
That's where I'm picking up on all that.
Right.
Hopefully Amy will eventually do all that. Yeah. So I guess back to fire budget. Greg gave me his numbers and I plugged in numbers and I mean, this is also not a very hard one other than the payroll to break out. Operating costs are basically, I mean, nominally up over what fiscal year 24 budget was. I mean, 97 to 112. Yeah. There was stuff in the past. I don't know if it's this much in his department here. It's probably in the other ones for capital. Yeah, I've got the bare minimum capital stuff in there, the leases.
Yeah.
And 15,000 in construction and improvements.
Do we, sorry, do we charge for the inspections that the fire chief would need to do?
Yes. Don't we, Greg?
What kind of inspections?
Like, we're talking about businesses or restaurants going in, or we don't charge for fire inspections?
Just through the building. Business license. No, we don't. We're trying to look into that. Michelle is looking into, the 35% that we do for alarms and fire suppression. But I was under the impression, we changed it when Diane was still here, or actually to across the board.
It wouldn't be a lot, but there is an opportunity, for example, in other cities within our valley, when you do open a restaurant space or a business that requires an inspection, there is a fire inspection fee in some other communities within our valley, so.
So when we looked into that, it was 35%, or Haley was charging 35% across the board.
Okay.
To your house, your remodel, your new business.
I know in Ketchum, I paid a fee somewhere between the $200 and $250 range for an inspection, so.
So there is
Something to look into.
fees listed above and beyond, just going in there like one time.
Mhm.
Like I've been watching the lock up Anita, I'm gonna be gone probably when they want me to inspect it. And if Trent can do it in one shot, then sure, but if not, I usually don't, but I threaten them, when they get their signs up and their stuff, like this hibachi place.
Mhm.
He was nickel and dime me, and I said, okay, I'm not coming back, or I'm gonna charge you whatever the fees listed in our ordinance.
It's just, as we're looking at fees, it's something to think about if it's something we want to have part of our fee structure. I think it's customary in other cities. So it's something we shouldn't be afraid to explore.
The only thing that's coming in basically for him are burn permits and that 35% or whatever that apparently we haven't found the background yet on that, but so far it's only been on commercials. So this year we've brought in 3,800 from fire department fees. And so I plugged in 4,000 for moving forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note to explore that permit thing,
Okay.
just because I think,
Okay,
well, we've talked about, these services not being the money makers. It is important to charge for appropriately for services.
Yeah.
So.
so any questions about fire department
Like we got
budget stuff?
10,000 grants. Is that a kind of a forthcoming? Or I get that's kind of.
I don't know, it was in this year and somehow we put it in there next year. Do you have any,
Well, I think we're,
the 10,000 in grants?
you can put it, every year I try to go for grants. Used to be 40,000, they wanted to lower it down 2 years ago, I think. If we get them with, if we get $100,000 grant, it's gonna change the numbers, but we just kept money in there because I do apply for grants all the time.
And if we go over our grant number, then it messes up. messes everything up. If we're under it, no big deal, but if we go over the number, it messes up. So that's why we shoot high.
Are we ready to move the next one?
Yep.
So we can kind of get through this?
We're gonna ready to go.
We'll get there, we'll get there. Library's easy. Ready to look at library?
Ready, yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, so, she's done a great job getting grants and
I was gonna say,
donations this
Did
year.
it mess it up this year? Come on.
Yeah.
I think you might wanna bump that number up.
Yeah,
I
So
will.
you're-
We should bump that number up.
I think we should bump it up because you have brought a lot in this year.
She's done good.
Mhm.
Done good, so, anyway, yeah, I mean, pretty simple, the COLA's in there and payroll. There's a new program she wants to do, this ebook service this year.
We've been doing it, but in the past, we've gotten a grant for it.
Okay.
And yeah, that ran out, so we
Ah.
charged it.
So were we over budgeting liability insurance across the board last year?
Just like, what is going on?
I mean,
Work comp is.
You know, it was all
fascinating.
messed up when I came in and I changed it to a percentage of the budget.
Yeah.
And it was totally messed up with what was actually there.
okay,
Yeah,
just it's
Yeah.
more accurate
So,
reporting now. which is
yeah.
Great.
yes,
It's only $84.
we're moving forward. Hopefully next year will be even better.
Mhm.
So you can see, I mean, hers actually is pretty much the same. Changes, not much.
Did I saw your trainings and meetings went down. Is that just, it's by a little, is it just because it's?
It's just because I can't get to them, since
Okay.
I'm the only person, so.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
It's just hard to leave, we've worked to go to trainings.
There,
So the computer IT support, we're all sharing that. That's with all
we're gonna
sharing,
do that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did bump that anticipating that it probably will go up a little bit.
Yeah, now,
Yeah,
the Marshall, you run off your own server and your own IT, correct?
Yes and no.
they're still part of our IT.
Part of it is separate, part of it's the same. So I just have to deal with literally 3 different IT people.
You have the RMS stuff, so you're part of the countywide.
As far as the RMS side of it, so I have the county I have to deal with, I have the state I have to deal with, and then our guy.
Okay, ready to move to Marshall?
Thanks for keeping the library.
Because
They
Marshall.
haven't whacked anything yet.
I Time. Got a few more to go.
I realize it's getting late here, let's.
No, we got, it's all good, we got work to do.
Parks,
Oh,
They're just out of order.
parks, I had parks all mixed up this
So
year.
our order goes Marshall, Parks, and then Streets.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Our binder.
parks is out of order in this one, so Marshall, we're on to Marshall. The court fines, I mean, in the past has been budgeted just at so minimal, but so far this year, we've had $50,000 worth come in, and I personally, I thought we should reflect those monies more accurately in the budget. Kurt, do you have something you'd like to say about that at all?
You can never anticipate what the court's going to do for sure, for certain. My anticipation is you can go up a little bit from what your current is, but I wouldn't go up much.
Okay, so I should probably take that figure down a little bit. Well, we're at 50 right now this year.
I
We
would,
budgeted 39.6.
I would get 40,
40? Okay,
cause you never know.
okay.
And you never know, hopefully hopefully we don't have a busy year. That would be the hope.
Don't you want job security?
No, there's plenty of job security out there, trust me. Stupid people that are. Job.
Okay, payroll section, what's plugged in here is Kurt wanted to do a 5% average, which we ended up adding 169 per hour per employee. And that's what's plugged into this. Now, there's also the COLA 3% version in the payroll version, if you wanna look at the payroll.
I'll be honest, the reason I went to 5% is my department was one of the few that didn't get anything last year. Except for dues.
So if you look at this year so far, because we're down an officer right now, he's anticipating some big time overtime. Look what that does to our budget. You know, I don't know, I almost would think that you could hire somebody right now and it costs less than what we're gonna be with paying all this overtime and everything.
Anybody else?
I think I said that.
Why aren't we flying a position?
What's that?
Why aren't we flying a position right now? If we're down staff and we have the money, why aren't we flying a position?
Because I'm only funded for 4 positions. And if I hired somebody and I didn't get funded that 5th position come October, then I have to lay off the guy that I just hired for placement.
And I believe our marshal is working on his 8th 12-hour shift.
Can we clarify real quick, Phil? So the code enforcement officer that we had hired, was that funded?
That portion was funded for this.
So we do have funding for a 5th position, it's just not at a rate.
It was a lower rate, less hours.
Lower rate, less hours, okay.
Now, in fiscal year 25, we added an officer, added an
I did
officer.
request one.
So that's why the significant jump in payroll.
And the rate for the new officer, is his position?
So that rate is in case I get somebody that is a lateral position out of Blaine County that has copious amount of experience, knows our system, can go right to work. I would want to start him higher than my new guys that have a year and a half.
Okay,
But if it's a new position or a new officer, I would start them out significantly less than what I've budgeted for.
so that's your optimal.
That's best case scenario, best applicant.
So
And
even,
again, I did request a 5% average, and the reason I did that is it gives my lower end a bigger shot and drops my raise down, if that makes sense.
so the second page is that 169 added to each hourly. Ending up with a total payroll of just under 400 there, plus 40,000 of overtime.
You always got to the overtime, sorry, just asking clarification.
Previously, they didn't even budget the appropriate hours that we worked.
We did fix that this time.
Okay.
I didn't have it right. but
We don't
fixed
work
it.
a 2080 schedule, we work a minimum of a 2184 a year with a potential 2236 without getting overtime. So we need to budget for 2236 as far as hours in lieu of the 2080 that everybody else budgets for.
And that worksheet has the 2236.
Fall under
So it's a more appropriate reflection.
Yeah,
Much more.
Okay.
And just so you know, the fire department would fall under the same situation. They don't get overtime at that rate. They would go to a higher number.
Since we don't have anybody full-time.
No, I was
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
for his, if you.
Yeah,
went
yes.
full-time.
Do you guys get any part of the civil forfeitures the county does, or do they do anything?
They do them, we don't,
Even if they're your cases?
we've yet to see anything.
Going down his expenses. Things
Oh,
pretty
one
much.
question I have for you that I didn't notice until just now.
For me,
Yeah, on the training and meetings,
yes.
we need to add travel expense to my budget as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that
I
we
miss
can
travel.
divide that out,
Yep.
because that would divide my training and meetings from 11 to probably 55, and then 60, or. Well, I probably go 5,000 and 6,000.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, you're good. Well, you and I both looked at this full time. So.
Yeah, yeah.
If we go to a fifth officer, do we need another vehicle?
No. We can maintain with what we have currently, at least for another couple of years.
So his budget is the one with the most changes, really.
Is the dispatch paid annually?
Um,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Do we think that budgeted increase is enough? Just a $500 increase compared to last year.
We're hoping. I haven't got a number yet, specific, so we're hoping.
So operating comes down to about 200,000. So total was approaching 800,000 for him. Yeah, for Marshall. That's with the fifth officer, yeah. Any questions?
Works.
Parks. So the big change with parks, obviously, is the payroll that we computed, taking it from street. So if you go to the payroll sheet and look at that first, we figured 38% of time on parks for 2 employees for half the year, 26 weeks. And approximately 20% supervisor time, or 8 hours a week for 26 weeks. So that's what we're anticipating for parks payroll. So wages alone is just under 28,000. So if you go back then to our worksheet, that computes to, a total payroll of just under 35. The landscape service contract went up, so I bumped that up a little bit this year. I'm anticipating it'll go up again. And I'm not sure about this riverbank restoration. It started in 23, maybe even before that. We haven't spent anything on it. Are we supposed to be doing something there?
It's for projects, so like we had a gentleman come in this fall, or maybe it was last spring. One of the subdivisions, he wanted to put some more riprap on, but we're not going to, riprap's not the way we want to do things. We have in the past used some of that for Draper Preserve and donated it to like Wood River Land Trust when they were doing some river work. So they if they have a section of the river, that the county or somebody wants to do, we keep some funds in there so we can help match.
Okay. Well, I just carried it through.
And biggest thing you're gonna see it like 2017, the spring floods that came in after that snow. I think we had to use in 2018 quite a bit of funds to get some the stream back in shape.
So parks basically went from about 30,000 to, or wait a minute, total expenses 43 to 68, because obviously adjusting the payroll was a biggie for that. Yeah.
Do you know the Friends of the Howard Preserve are interested in having a little bit of a budget to do some work?
Yeah, I got an email from Ms. Blanchard, and we need to look at in the parks budget where we can pull to get some fencing repaired and a few things that she requested.
Well, there's the budget right there. And what we,
I mean, there honestly should be just, I would say, a line item for the preserve itself, so
Okay.
we do put something in there.
yeah,
And so we do have something that can keep maintenance on there, since it's unlike O'Donnell or Memorial where we can just hire somebody to go do some lawn mowing.
what do you want me to plug in there?
I know she had mentioned to me 3,000, but that seemed a little,
I didn't hear you.
she had mentioned to me 3,000, but I think that's probably about what they would need. Since they've never had a budget before.
Could add in quite a. See, quite a bit, more than, substantially more than what they got. When we re-gravel their parking lot, just machinery and time in there.
Yeah, gravel, wood chipping, there's ways we can easily put,
There's
And
one money that could be laid.
From that, yeah.
I see.
and so. So
Parking lot does look nice.
I guess I'd say it's not recognized by.
Right. But it could be allocated this way.
Yeah, and then it would be easier to,
Well,
point
streets
to.
of Georgia.
yeah,
That's.
That'd be nice to appropriately.
we have a line item.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so then
So
maybe
that-
it's.
5,000? Should we put that in there and see where we end up with?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Streets, last one. Unless there's something else on that.
Well, we also need to start thinking about the parking area, and the park out in Strayhorn, and then the maintenance and upkeep of. Yeah, this last year, after he came in with, he had some other work that was going on, and he brought in a mower deck and mowed everything last fall. We do have the ability to do that, I think, now with the,
We've not tried.
okay,
Some of those berms are pretty steep.
okay,
We're trying to try.
but,
So do we need to bump up something here for
it's just gonna be in the
maintenance
general
and repairs?
maintenance and repairs. But you can see, I mean, I don't know how much it says we can only use
311,
300, so we're fine right now.
okay.
We'll watch it. That's just parts. Now we're moving on to streets.
Now on the streets. So, where do we start here with this one? Revenues, I think we're, one of our highway revenues, which is currently $52,000. I don't think we're gonna see anything from that one this coming year. I think that one goes away, which is an ouchie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, lot, I carried it across at 50, we're at 31 5 now, hasn't been as good as it was last fiscal year. The $1,000 there is encroachment permits. Those have been going to streets. Yes, Casey?
So I met with Robin Keel, who's the guy who they're wanting to do a project over here on, I believe it's 101. Behind the cabinet shop. He wants to asphalt between the 2 buildings behind it. And I mentioned. Oh. Yeah, never done. About paving, so. When they come in, do patch repairs and stuff, and. Small show, how many dollars you think's out there that you perform work?
And
There's just so much.
I think
we haven't
non-compliance is overarching, like in terms of fees, permits, law, things like this.
I'm not suggesting in the least that it was done maliciously, we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Or we've been told, how many times have I been told, we've been told.
Mhm.
We can't keep going that way.
No, I've seen that,
It's
I've seen that in the park permit fees and all of
Yeah.
that, and I think it's.
Another park permit fees, so we rented out the covered potluck spot. Pavilion. On Saturday. So it needed checked out to make sure that it was clean before on Saturday. It needed to be checked out after that first party left to make sure it was clean for the second party coming in. And it needed checked out after the second party left to make sure it was clean to get their security deposit back. That's 4 stops on overtime. That's far more than what you're charging for your
Yes.
entire permit.
Yes.
Well, in the permit, it states that we can charge hours. We need to be doing.
I added a line item for that, by the way, in parks. Where's that? I added staff time.
I think that number
Hours.
needs to be altered as well, because.
I guess I didn't get it in there.
Overtime. Necessarily.
Yeah, see at the top in the income, there's a park rental fee. I'm separating out the sports fees from that.
Okay.
Because this year we've got 2,600 from sports.
Okay.
But 590 from regular park rental. So I thought that might be a good thing to separate.
Yeah.
And then I made a line item for park deposit because those come in and go out. So that should all zero out unless we keep a deposit from somebody. But it's not reflected here because I didn't put it in here, but there is one that is for the additional trash and or porta potties and staff time. We do have line items. I've created them. We're ready to go. We just need to be charging the fees.
Great, so staff time would be like the additional staff time
Yes.
outside of the permit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So also an additional cost to just that event with the 2 renters. They're supposed to pick up after themselves and put garbage in garbage cans. There's not enough garbage storage for 2 events like that.
Without being dumped.
So we got a 1.5 yard dumpster that sits there.
Yeah.
It's a will call dump thing. It's 3/4 full now from 2, and it's locked.
Okay, so yeah.
Locked. Good idea.
The garbage that's in there came from those 2 events, and it needs to be dumped before you start growing critters.
So it's $45 every time we dump it. Yeah. Okay, back to streets. Where are we at? Income. We had 115,888 for grants. I'm not sure where that came from for fiscal year 24.
Very specific.
Very specific. I'm not sure. That's why there's a gray. I don't know what to plug in for 25. Our transportation plan is not gonna be ready. A year, it'll be a year, so there probably won't be much in terms of grants for this coming fiscal year, but maybe the year after. Help me out here on this one.
No, because we know that, what grants have we got? We only gotten the transportation study
Yeah,
grant, and
yeah.
that was, what, 50 or 70,000?
Yeah, it's actually gonna be a cost of 90. So, and I have our amount in here, it's like 70, we're 7.3%. Oh, it's down there, fourth from the bottom. Professional fees, the 7,000, that's for the transportation plan. So I don't know what other grants that might have been or what. Nobody knows? Okay, so then if you look at the difference in the draft in the fiscal year 24, there's $100,000 difference in income revenue there.
So liability insurance higher in this group? Or just based on how many people are there, or what's the calculation? Or
Liabilities based on percentage of budget.
Okay.
Yeah. So roughly 5,000 for streets. That number will change as we get things finalized down to all of them. We separated out, because we wanted to be sure to be able to track repair and maintenance for equipment, for street maintenance, tree maintenance, and then, of course, the snow removal, autos, streetlights. So a couple of those we had, but we expanded that a little bit so that we could really track what's going on and where the money is going with repair and maintenance stuff. Okay. Casey, I didn't get much feedback from you on numbers here. I just plugged some numbers in.
Or going forward.
Yeah, for like draft fiscal year 25 numbers. So would you this week take a look at that and
And so unless there was anything like a piece of equipment blowing up, we had to put a lot of money into it. Then we don't get to look. That's the one thing that you can take out of it. Well, we don't need to put a new engine in this year.
we did have a lot of startup with our stuff. Like, new tires on trucks and things, the lights and the, things like that, that caused things to be. So I just kind of grabbed numbers there for.
Yeah, I'll go through it.
Okay, go through that, please.
are there income opportunities we haven't explored in the streets category? If we're losing something like that 52,000. Anyone who's more historically involved in
There's our camper permits.
We'll get those encroachments.
Well, lot is something we've been discussing. And,
Yeah, well, we're hoping to get lot bumped up, but I mean, it's not gonna be huge, it's.
Discussion of time, but
That was a
is
sale of equipment,
another lot
which
of
we
interest
probably pretty much sold
Yeah,
almost.
it's 5-0.
is a larger lot of interest to our group for going after, when I did the city tours trip, but in Sandpoint, Idaho, I know it's a quite large number, but they have a 14% lot tax on their hotel stays.
What?
Mhm.
And I just talked with Victor and I was over there this last week. They have a 9.5% on their hotels,
Yeah,
but they just put in probably a $15 million public workshop. Thing's amazing. They have nice offices, a nice room in there. They've got bays that are huge and amazing. They've got a $750,000 what do you call it, back truck. Because they are able to use their lot taxes.
because right now it's just going to snow removal, and while that's helpful, it's not, we're not able to get to general maintenance and, you know,
We don't even have enough money right here to do a single road to do a chip seal project or to even
Yeah.
do the half the town potholes.
so, it's something that I've talked to Diane about, and we figured out the date by when we'd have to put something on to be voted on in the November election, so just looking at where we're at with the lot, maybe it's something we wanna discuss. You know, we have talked about the food and beverage in the past, and I've heard from our council in the community, but another bed tax wouldn't burden our community, it would just put it on the travel side of people coming in and out of our community, but could really help us bring more money into streets.
Well, I think is low.
3%, it is low.
It's low.
We need to change that, in my opinion. That number
Well,
needs,
it's a great time to build off the success that we've gotten on the startup of the lot.
And I think lot compliance is another part of that, Shelley and I have been talking about it. We'll take back up after the budget
Yeah.
isn't weighing everything down, but getting people who are doing short-term rentals to actually be paying the lot. Needing compliance, so I don't, it's just something I've looked at, and I see an opportunity for us to maybe bring another lot for in November, and
Do the SDRs have business licenses?
they don't at this time.
No, but
Here, we
do
just-
not
What's
need
that?
them.
No,
No, they do not need them, so,
Yeah.
so there's also an opportunity to be charging permit fees
Yes.
that we aren't currently charging
Ketchup
for
does that.
our short-term rentals. And we aren't doing at this time, but there is an opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah, they just fill out an application. They don't, I was looking at that
There's
the other
no
day going, we don't charge
Permit,
them
there's no
to
licensing fee.
have the ability to do it.
And it's not as much as having another permit, another fee for them to pay, but for public health and safety to ensure that they have smoke detectors, radar, or smoke and carbon monoxide detectors in those, fire extinguishers and stuff like that.
At Ketchum, you have to fill out a whole checklist with all that
Yeah.
information.
So,
And then pay your fee.
and I do agree, because it also, we would have a record of the short-term rentals that are in existence within our community, and then have a record of lot taxes that have been paid versus having to do research to discover who is short-terming within our community.
So we know that Lava Hot Springs is going through some sort of legal issues with theirs. And McCall, where do we stand? Where do we start? Do we wait till they resolve and then we?
So there was legislation that went to the floor this year, that's trying to restrict, adjust the city's ability to charge for things, but I think there's still freedom within the city to create regulations around short-term rentals. I would
you sure about that? You know,
charge, like basically having a
I don't know
permit.
about charging. You know, the regulation in Idaho, you know, it's a fucking, pardon my French, you know, it's a free for all. You think about it, 10 years ago, there is less than 200 short-term rentals. Now it's over 3,000. And well,
You can charge permits that would cover administrative costs, I think it gets exorbitant, like when it gets too high, but administrative fees to process permits. There's, anywhere from starting at $50 to.
I think we should charge a hell of it, you know?
Casey.
I guess that kind of answers the question. So do they have to fill out a business permit?
There's just an application at the lot.
But that's the,
You would sign up for the city of Bellevue to have a permit to do that.
Yeah,
yes, and then that would allow us to then make sure they're in lot tax collection compliance, and then the taxes are getting paid back to the city.
we have the application, it just doesn't charge them anything. Sure.
That's generous.
We're so nice. We're so nice.
We are
Okay,
paying
well,
bills down here.
I think the lot tax is something to explore as a group.
So would they fall under that?
Yes, the lot tax is, in essence, you can think of it as a bed tax, so hotel, short-term rentals. Anything under 30 days, I believe.
So, yeah, payroll, this reflects the actual streets payroll, not the buildings and grounds and parks. So this is actual streets. There was contract labor for 22, 23, 24, which, and looking back at the 478 that we paid was to the party noted there, which is no longer involved, so. Fuel, I mean, fuel is costing us $1,500 a month.
Not much we can do about that.
Yeah,
It's gone down a while. I think city voice has gone down quite a bit the last week. In fact, diesel in Boise is cheaper than gas. First time I've ever seen it.
yeah.
First time in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Question there. On your, you made concessions to put salary in for parks and buildings and grounds. But you didn't deduct the hours charged from streets. I understand streets pays for all that regardless. If you're adding hours, you take your parks and buildings and grounds, you subtract streets, therefore lowering that payment.
I did subtract them.
It still says 208,008 hours.
Yeah, that's just, down at the right side of that, I take parks and B&G out. I subtract those both from it.
Before you hit the net.
So minus park, minus B&G,
Yeah,
and then net streets payroll.
yeah. Because I started with initially, this is what we pay, okay. It took a long time to figure all this out, and then backing those out of streets.
I do wonder if you wanna back them out at the front and with the hours though, versus right at the end, or does it come out as a wash in terms of budget?
It should, because we've done it by hours on the other two.
Okay.
You know, the hard part about all of that being 3 different departments is when payroll, for example, is done and they indicate that it's parks or B&G or whatever. If in the end, it doesn't balance out, then it's all messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But basically, what's in fiscal year 24 is gonna get zeroed out by the end of the year from B&G and parks toward streets. We'll use that little $9,152 that we budgeted there for, you know. So I've not done water and sewer. I will work on that for next time. So if you go back to your beginning now, go back to your budgets at a glance. All of those are basically summarized on this. So moving forward, obviously we have more expenses than we have income. So we have to figure out at some point what you want me to edit and revise toward getting a match at some point. Now, keeping in mind that revenue is not set solid yet either, so it's all fluctuating, you know?
And this
No, that's just comparing 24 to 25.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so if you look here, we're at 2.7 on expenses, but we're at 1.9 on revenue. Yeah,
And this is without water and sewer.
yeah, this is just general fund.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, just general fund.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah. Those are different.
Yes, and I will have water and sewer for next time.
Oh, thank you.
But I don't know exactly how, I mean, how did you do it before to get it to, did you just start going through and saying, cut this, cut this, cut this?
Line by line by line by painful line.
Okay, well, now you have the, this is kind of what it looks like. And,
No, the hard work starts.
what's that?
The hard work starts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe after,
yeah.
sewer and water, but
If you will leave your books, I will update them. If you would like to take your stuff, I would love to be able to update them for use next time, like with the updated stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to take your papers.
Could we also just like add to it? Like, can we hold on to it, give it back to you, and then we just add to it?
I guess we could do that,
Cause
yeah.
I'd love
do
to spend
tell
some
me how
time
to do it.
with it.
I think what we used to do, sorry, going
We
back,
can add to it.
is, we would just, instead of getting a binder the next time, there would be, you know, the big metal clip with the whole packet.
We could add it to our binder.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that saves you
You
from
time.
having to do that.
okay. I was just trying to make it easy for you guys.
I love
like
the binder.
having it separated so we can flip through
Yeah.
back and forth or
This
whatever.
was great. I know you were under the gun to produce this, and I really appreciate it.
Yep.
I think we all do.
Thank you. Yeah, no, yeah, those are your binders and I can just create them. I mean, because all of that is probably gonna get edited and updated for next time.
Well, then we can come with our notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave this here, we haven't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you.
Yeah, Shelley.
You're
No,
welcome.
Mr. Mayor.
What time it is, John?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
For me, yes.
Getting it not approved.
I'm trying to. I'm gonna send you copies, but I'm still working through it, yeah. It's just-
Yeah.
And that's